My wife smashed a hot coffee mug on my head because I was late bringing her coffee. She also became abusive during pregnancy and PPD. I'm divorcing her and taking full custody of our son. My wife is accusing me of breaking our marriage. Why can't women take accountability for their actions? I, 29M, was in a relationship with my soon-to-be ex-wife, 28F, for 8 years. Everything was, for the most part, nearly perfect. We had our occasional small arguments, but nothing major or relationship-altering. All of that changed 13 months ago when she got pregnant. The pregnancy wasn't a surprise. We had been actively trying for a baby. Around the 4-month mark, my wife did a complete 180. She changed from the kind, caring, and sweet woman I knew into someone I can only describe as a total tyrant. I know it's harsh to speak about someone that way, but it's the truth. Suddenly, even my breathing was an issue for her. She would wake me up at 2 or 3 in the morning, demanding something specific, and if I refused to drive 40 minutes to get her ice cream, she'd become verbally abusive. One Sunday, she exploded in rage because Chick-fil-A was closed, calling me a useless husband and every name under the sun. She banned me from sleeping in our bed, but if I slept elsewhere, she'd be furious in the morning. Cleaning the house too loudly was wrong. Not cleaning it was also wrong. She'd demand specific meals, then get angry when I cooked what she asked for. I endured it all. The insults, the abuse. I never raised my voice once, even though I was breaking inside. I begged her to seek help, to speak with a doctor, a therapist, or even her mom. But suggesting she needed help only made things worse. She accused me of calling her crazy. I once brought up her mood swings at a doctor's appointment, and the hell I paid for afterward lasted an entire week. Even when I confided in her mother, she acted sweet in front of her and made me look like the crazy one. When I tried to show her mother camera footage of her outbursts, she twisted the narrative, making it seem like I provoked her and was some kind of monster for not doing more to support her. It got to the point where she threw a can at my chest in the middle of the night because she couldn't open a can of peaches on her own. That was somehow my fault too, because I'd fallen asleep at 4 a.m. after hours of trying to calm her. 4 months ago, she gave birth. It wasn't an easy delivery, but I was hopeful things would improve. Instead, she developed severe postpartum depression. I tried even harder to help, researching, making suggestions, and even speaking to a therapist myself to learn how to support her better. But every attempt backfired. She accused me of being against her, of thinking she was a terrible wife and mother, even though I never said any of those things. Then, the abuse turned physical. The breaking point came when she smashed a coffee cup over my head after I took too long to bring her coffee. I had been changing our son's diaper at the time. That was the first time in 8 years I raised my voice at her. I told her we were done and that she needed to pack her things and get out. She tried to take our son with her, but I refused. When she threatened to call the police, I pointed to the hallway camera and said she was welcome to try. The footage clearly showed her attacking me. A week later, I was served divorce papers. I had wanted to file first, but didn't have the time between work and taking care of our son alone. 3 weeks ago, I came home to find my in-laws waiting for me. Apparently, her parents had finally forced her to see a therapist, threatening to kick her out when she became abusive toward them as well. They finally believed me and realized I wasn't lying about what I'd endured. They handed me a letter from her before leaving. In the letter, she apologized for everything she put me through, admitting she had no excuse. She wrote that she's been seeing both a therapist and a psychiatrist and is now on medication. She mentioned that she halted the divorce proceedings and wants to give our marriage another chance. I haven't responded to her letter. Instead, I gave it to my lawyer and instructed her to proceed with the divorce. The letter contains detailed admissions of her behavior, which support my case for custody. I also have the videos showing the coffee cup assault, my hospital visit for stitches, and the burn marks from the hot coffee. People have called me an asshole for not giving her another chance. They say she's getting the help she needs now and that I should forgive her for the sake of our family. They claim that if I truly loved her, I'd be able to move past everything she did while she wasn't in her right mind. I've even been accused of being a monster who doesn't understand what she's gone through. But here's the thing. I tried everything to help her. I did everything humanly possible. She refused, made me out to be the villain, and made my life a living hell. Nothing I did was right or good enough. Even when I tried to remove myself from volatile situations, I was somehow still in the wrong. I've built a strong case for full custody of our son, and my lawyer is optimistic. There are no guarantees, but she believes a judge will grant it. My prenuptial agreement also protects my assets, including our house. Just to clarify, my son is biologically mine. Before he was born, I combed through my wife's messages, financial records, and anything else that could raise red flags. I found nothing suspicious, and a paternity test confirmed he's my son. Am I the asshole for choosing to proceed with the divorce and refusing to give our marriage another chance? My brother-in-law accused that my 5-year-old boys will become a sexual predator just because my wife's father was one. Mom canceled him for Thanksgiving, and now my sister is accusing me of breaking our family. I'm a 35-year-old dad to 5-year-old identical twin boys. They're full of energy and constantly keep my wife and me on our toes. We're currently expecting our 3rd child, a girl, which we're excited about since this will be our last baby. My wife is an amazing mom, but she's endured a difficult past. During her childhood, her father abused her, which led to him being imprisoned. Because of this, my wife is particularly protective of our kids, wanting to make sure they grow up safe and loved, a complete contrast to her own upbringing. While she still maintains some contact with her mom, they're not particularly close. Despite everything she's been through, my wife has always been devoted to our sons, loving them unconditionally. My older sister, who's 38, has 2 daughters and is married to a guy named Sean. Although I care about my sister, her husband has a habit of making offhand, inconsiderate remarks. My wife doesn't often discuss her trauma, but our family is aware of it, partly because her mother has spoken openly about what happened. My parents and siblings have always been supportive and understanding, but Sean has made some unsettling comments in the past. For instance, before our wedding, he once told me it was admirable that I was willing to be with someone who had so much baggage. I never mentioned that to my wife. Last night, we were having dinner at my sister's house. My wife was in great spirits, excited to share the news that we're having a daughter. My sister was thrilled, but Sean, after congratulating us, said he was relieved we weren't having another boy. I asked him what he meant, and he explained that having a girl minimized the risk of something turning out wrong. Confused, I pushed for clarification. That's when he turned to my wife and asked if she ever worried about passing down her family's issues. My wife was stunned and said her father's behavior had nothing to do with our kids. But Sean insisted there's a genetic component, implying our sons might inherit their grandfather's tendencies. My wife asked how he could say such things about our innocent boys, but Sean doubled down, saying her father had also once been a sweet, innocent child. At that point, my wife broke down, sobbing, and I was furious. My sister defended Sean, admitting his comment was insensitive, but arguing that he wasn't wrong. She claimed they weren't accusing our kids of anything, but thought it was something to keep in mind. I wanted to lash out at Sean, but my wife begged me to leave with the boys. She cried the entire ride home, and I tried to reassure her, reminding her that our sons are nothing like her father. She said she knew that, but the judgment from family was heartbreaking. As we talked about it, we realized that Sean has always been uneasy around our boys, especially when they're playing near his daughters. One incident stood out. The kids were having a pillow fight, and one of my sons accidentally hit his cousin. He felt terrible, immediately apologized, and even started crying because he didn't mean to hurt her. But Sean scolded him harshly, calling him aggressive. At the time, it seemed like an overreaction, but now it feels like he's always assumed the worst of our boys. This morning, I called my mom and explained what happened. She was shocked and agreed that Sean's comments were out of line. I told her that my wife, being pregnant, needed peace, and if my sister and Sean were attending Thanksgiving, we'd sit it out. My mom, angry about how her grandsons were judged, said she supported us and didn't want Sean at Thanksgiving. My sister called me later, angry that we were causing a rift. She said Sean was just voicing his concerns as a father to 2 daughters, and accused us of taking it the wrong way. She also argued it wasn't fair for her daughters to miss Thanksgiving because of what he said. But I told her our sons were being unfairly judged for something beyond their control. She asked me to convince our mom to change her mind, but I refused. So, am I in the wrong? My dad died when I was 6, and my mom forced me to take my stepfather's name. When I refused, they promised to help me change it back when I turn 18. Now, both of them are stopping me from changing it. AITA for cutting off ties with my mother and stepdad. My dad passed away when I was 6 years old. At that time, my parents had already separated, and my mom was in a relationship with the man she would later marry. After my dad's death, They decided to get married to create a complete family unit for me. A few months later, they sat me down and explained that they wanted to change my last name to my stepfather's. My mom said it would make things easier for her husband, like handling school matters or medical situations where having the same last name might be helpful. I was devastated and told them I wanted to keep my dad's last name. I said that my stepfather wasn't my dad, and that I didn't want to lose the last piece of my father I had left. I even cried, pleading to keep it. My mom and stepfather repeatedly promised me that once I turned 17 or 18, they would pay for me to change my name back. They said it was only temporary, just to make life simpler while I was a kid. I regretted agreeing to the name change almost immediately, but I held on to their promise. For years, I believed they would follow through. About a year ago, when I brought it up, my mom brushed it off, saying there was no need to rush. I insisted that I wanted my original last name back before graduation, so it could be on my diploma. We argued a lot, and my stepfather chimed in, acting like it wasn't a big deal. He even pointed out that I'd had his last name for longer than I'd had my dad's, but I told him that didn't matter. I wanted my actual dad's name back. Finally, my mom admitted they weren't going to help me change it back. She said I should keep my stepfather's name since he'd done so much for me. I told her it wasn't her choice anymore and that I would do it as soon as I turned 18. I also told her our relationship would never be the same because of how she broke her promise and let me down. She dismissed me as being overdramatic, but from that point on, I became distant and cold, shutting both of them out as much as I could. My mom kept trying to reconnect, but I wouldn't let her. I moved out as soon as I could and started living with my cousin. The day after I turned 18, I filed to get my name changed back. My mom found out through other relatives and tried to stop me, even falsely claiming that my stepfather had adopted me, which would prevent the name change. But I checked and confirmed that wasn't true. When she confronted me, she accused me of disrespecting her and my stepfather. That's when I snapped and told her to shut up. I said she was a liar and that I didn't care about her opinion on this matter. She started crying, and I told her good. I made it clear that she had lost me because of her broken promises and that she'd have to deal with the consequences. Now some extended family members are siding with her, saying I was too harsh. My mom insists I had no reason to speak to her that way. So am I the jerk?